Hello everyone, this is David, and today we'll be doing a review of the new Carenado Cheyenne. This aircraft is the larger version of the Cheyenne released previously. This aircraft has beautiful 3D modeling both inside and out, and beautiful textures as well. If you are interested in a slightly larger turboprop than the Cheyenne, which is basically a turbo version of a Navajo, or turbopropped version of Navajo, I would recommend this aircraft to you. As you can see, the texture work is typical Carenado quality and looks really beautiful. The bump mapping looks great, and the 3D modeling looks great as well. As you can see, when you get in close to the textures here, you got a little bit of wear on the boots, some chips on the prop, and this aircraft also features Q-tip props. This is actually the first time I've seen Q-tip props modeled into flight sim, and they've done a really nice job on those propellers as well. Overall, this aircraft is a little change from what Carenado's been doing recently. This aircraft is kind of a very clean looking, well-maintained example. Some of Carenado's aircraft they put out as kind of a little bit more rough and tumbled. This aircraft appears to be really well maintained. So let's go ahead and hop inside and have a look around there as well. Alright, so as typical with Carenado, the VC quality is really good. The interior quality is also really good. The only two issues I've found with this airplane so far, and this airplane just released, so Carenado will be releasing a service pack. The number one issue, is to me is the biggest, is that on initial startup from cold and dark, the engine, at least the right engine, will go to full power regardless of the throttle settings. So other than putting it into beta, I'm not really sure what to do to keep it from doing that. The only way to fix it is to either hit Control E after doing most of the startup process yourself, or pulling the mixture back to idle for just a split second, and it'll go back down to normal RPM. So it's kind of like a even larger bug than most turboprops in flight sim have. I wish Carenado would go into a little more depth in their modeling of the turboprop engine, just so that it would they could kind of get past those issues. Anyway, like I said, in the VC the texturing is beautiful. You have a few animations in the cockpit, well actually quite a few animations in the cockpit, but just some of these sort of things. All this is modeled in 3D and looks great. You have the timers on the yokes here. Obviously the yokes can disappear, but that'll be handy for doing holding work. The rest of the cabin is equally good looking. Carenado has obviously taken some time, and like I said, they've made the cabin of this airplane a little bit cleaner than most of their cabins. So this is a very well maintained example of an airplane. There are very few scratches, if any, around. Even has a nice little wet bar or whatever back here. The only problem is they didn't stock it. So I guess the passengers will be going thirsty, but the cabin looks really nice, and the animation on the passenger door looks really nice, as well as the stairs fold in to the airplane there. Alright, so it appears that none of these are clickable, which would have been really cool if they had implemented that where you could turn on individual lights in the passenger cabin. But it doesn't appear that they did. And as we're moving back up, you can see reflections on the windows. You can also see right here as you look reflections on the seat track. So that polished metal is showing off the light as it moves across it. The tables look really nice, and the animations here are really smooth. Another interesting thing is that the passenger, there's no smoking, and seatbelt signs actually work in this airplane. So it's a neat little feature. So they'll illuminate when you turn them on. As you can see, the cockpit is really well equipped. You have the option of either using the Carenado GPS, which is pretty basic, or you can integrate the Reality XP 530 or the Flight 1 GTN 750. You can also choose to integrate the RXP 530 or use the installer for that, and then use Flight 1 software to convert the RXP installation into a Flight 1 GNS 530, which is what I do on a lot of airplanes. For this one, being a corporate airplane, I chose to do the GNS, or not the GNS, the GTN, just so it's a little bit more advanced. Alright, because of the startup error, I'm going to kind of go through most of the startup process and then actually hit Control E at the end, just so that the engine doesn't peg itself at full throttle. Okay, for anybody looking, the fuel cutoffs for the engines are down here under this little hatch. I'll scoot over a little bit to see that one. Okay. Go ahead and open our oil coolers. I'm just going to open them both. Turn our fuel pumps on. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and just hit Control E. That engine has that runaway issue. But if you do the complete startup, it'll just sit there and peg itself and won't respond to the throttles. You know, I should look down here, and the throttles will be at idle, and the mixture's near idle cutoff, and it'll still run up. Okay, so turn the avionics on. You have two switches here. This one brings on your radios. This one brings on the actual Garmin. You have a radar available over here if you want it. It's not really too much of use since it only detects clouds. Okay, and to bring on the ADI.
TOS, system test OK.
Gyro, you're going to turn on that, and we'll flip that up for the radar altimeter, since we are on kind of mountainous terrain here. Alright, flight dynamics wise, the airplane flies very nicely. It does kind of suffer from the typical turboprop issues, though. Just kind of, for anybody who hasn't flown a turboprop in real life, you may not know about, you know, the slow to respond throttles compared to a turbojet and compared to piston engines.
Terrain ahead, pull up. Terrain ahead, pull up. Terrain.
And inhibit him so he doesn't bother us. As you can see from the outside with the airplane in the air, it's a really, really great looking airplane. Carenado is, you know, known for their excellent 3D modeling, and they have the 3D propellers on here as well, so they show. Flight dynamics wise, the airplane reminds me a lot of a kind of a C90 King, cross between a C90 King Air and a Piper Navo Chieftain. The airplane performs really well and climbs out great. As you can see, it's definitely useful for mountainous terrain like this and short runways. And I could have taken off a lot shorter, but I just kept the engines from over torquing, so that's what caused that long takeoff run. The aircraft stall wise is pretty docile, so we'll go ahead and climb up and we'll do a stall, power off. I'm actually going to do a full power off just so that we can keep the beepers from coming at us. And I'll let this
Sync rate.
far.
Pull up. 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 Pull up.
I have
Pull up.
noticed right there a control lockout glitch, and I've only noticed that with this airplane. For some reason, as you can see, it locked me out of controls completely, and I'm not sure what that's about. But you know, I thought it may have just been the sim or some wind, and this time actually seeing it, I see that there is a glitch where it's locking the controls out completely, and I'm not sure why. With the ignition in auto, when you bring the power back, they've modeled it so that the ignition comes on, as you can hear right there, and bring the power back, which is realistic to the airplane. But I held it in the stall a little bit long, and so it did drop a wing, start to spin. So flight dynamics wise, I would rate this airplane as pretty realistic. One thing I do not like about Carenado products is how high they set the gear warning, just because it's actually very hard to slow the airplane down without tripping the gear warning horn. At least with this, you get the igniters, or the ignition, coming on, so you kind of have a warning. It's not quite as annoying as the gear horn. Alright, and once we land, I'm going to switch over to nighttime and let y'all see the night lighting. I would do it now, except that Kern has no lighting at night, so it is kind of hard to see to land. As you can see, even at a Payware airport, performance is maxed out on my system, running steadily at 60 frames. I do have a new system. My new system is in i7 8700K at 4.7 gigahertz. It's overclocked on all 6 cores, and GTX 1080, and 32 gigabytes of G.Skill RAM at 3200 megahertz. So a pretty decent upgrade from my 4790K at 4.5 gigahertz, and my RAM that was at 1866. So overall, the upgrade netted me about 10 to 15 frames in Prepared 3D version 4.
500.
Sounds there as well. A bit of rumbling and clicking also as you taxi. Alright, so I'm gonna switch over to night. Overall, I like the airplane. There are definitely some glitches that Carenado is going to need to work out. Obviously, the control lockout glitch, the engine's literally going full and staying there is another glitch, and it just seems to be the right engine that's doing that on a cold and dark. And one other glitch I'm going to show you here in a second. Okay, so with this, I'm just going to go ahead and hit lights. And so as you can see, those do work. So they came on. The passenger cabin lights only work with the dome light on, which kind of sucks. Because most of the time you're not going to use the dome light while you're flying at night. And then I haven't noticed this switch doing anything at all for the master panel bright. One thing I do wish Carenado would add is the ability to adjust our panel brightnesses, but they don't seem to be too interested in doing that. And one thing I've noticed that Carenado's lighting quality really has gone downhill recently. I don't know if there's somebody new there, but if you notice, like back in the day, like with their C90 and PA46, you'd notice shadows and all that sort of stuff from the gauges and lights, and you can see that somewhat here. But not like it was before. The night lighting quality just isn't as good as it used to be. And then you also have this glitch here. It's really minor, this is being nitpicky, but the outside shows the cabin lights on, no dome, and the inside does not show the cabin lights on. Obviously there's no way to turn those on here. I do wish that Carenado would let us change the brightness of our panel lights, just because at night you're gonna want to do that in the real airplane. I also wish they kind of bring back their older style of night lighting. It looked a lot better and a lot more realistic. I will say that the shutdown sounds on this airplane are really nice, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the outside view here, turn the sound back on and shut it down. And you can hear a nice like warbling from the propellers as the wind as they slow down. So you can hear it right there. I also like that they've done a better job of animating the propellers on this airplane than they have on some other ones. Some other ones, the animation for the propellers slowing down looked really jumpy, and overall just not very good. With that said, I do like the airplane, but quite honestly, I would wait, maybe about a month or so to purchase the airplane. Not because it's a bad airplane, just because it will allow Carenado time to release the updates that need to be released to make the airplane right. I do recommend the airplane, but I say that recommendation with the idea in mind that you wait a little while just for version 1.1 or 1.2 to come out, because version 1.0 usually on Carenado products can have some pretty major glitches, and this is pretty quickly after release. So that's kind of my only recommendation. But yeah, overall it's a good product, and if you're looking to add another turboprop to your hangar, it's definitely well worth it. Visually, it's excellent. Just a couple little things that I think they could have done better, like actually implemented this, or had a map like that actually did something, or have panel lights that actually, the flood actually kind of effect actually comes out onto some other parts of the panel instead of just making it like black and boring except for the panel itself. So that said, I hope everyone has a good day, and I hope you have enjoyed the review. Thank you for watching.